Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing episode 5 of our guide to 2K, and where I'll show you how to beat the Extreme AI. The Extreme AI is like the jewel that everybody wants to tackle before they head on over to ranked. It's basically the stepping stone from playing against single player to playing against other real opponents. And I think it's a good way to look at it. You work your way up from, the easiest or standard AI all the way to the extreme, and once you're able to beat the extreme AI consistently, you're more than ready to jump into ranked at around 1000 elo, and then you can climb or maybe drop a bit from there. So this will be the final episode against AI, and I'll show you guys how to beat the extreme AI. I'll also teach you some basic strategy when it comes to fast feudal age, so doing a scout rush instead of jumping straight to castle age like we've been doing in the past few episodes. And I'm also going to teach you some few things about control groups, which are a key part of, Age of Empires 2 strategy. So with all that said, let's go ahead and hop right in. We're going to be playing as the Magyars for this episode because they have a really good scout rush. We're still going to be sticking with cavalry units for the most part, just because I consider them to be a little bit easier to play for the beginner player, but if needed, we'll swap into some skirmishers or maybe even some archer or cavalry archer units. So we will take full advantage of our tech tree. Before we jump into the game, I want to take your attention to your civilization bonuses. This is why I recommend you one trick, or you play one of 3 civilizations to start off your AoE2 ranked journey, because every different civilization has certain bonuses. So for this episode, we're going to be playing the Magyars, and we have to take a look at our bonuses. So the first one is kind of irrelevant, but our villagers will beat wolves with 1 strike, so it could help in certain situations. But the 2 most important ones here are that the scout cavalry line costs minus 15%, and then we also get the melee attack upgrades for free. These 2 bonuses affect the scout line, both of them at the same time. It's what we call a double bonus. So going for scouts as the Magyars is usually a good strategy, and that's how you determine what your civilization should be going. It's a mix between your tech tree, what you have available, and your civilization bonuses. So with that said, we're going to want to go scouts and abuse the fact that we have strong and cheap scouts that can put pressure fast on our opponent and gain an early advantage. Let's go ahead and hop right in. I'm also going to show you in this episode, before we hop right in, we need to do a strategy. And how do we do a strategy? We go ahead and take a look at the strategy guide that I have available on my Patreon. Take a look at this 25 plus strategies that I made myself, so I know they're top tier. In this video, we want to do the 1 stable scout, so we go ahead and click that one. And what do you have? A color-coded PDF that I'm going to keep on the side. So we're going to do 18 vills, 1 stable scouts. And the recommended civilizations are here. And what do you know? Magyars are right there at the top, which is fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that off to the side for myself. There we go. And I'll be following that build order so you guys can follow along as I go through that build and get it done. So we don't have to say, sorry, go with the extreme AI. We are good to go. Now that I've got my build order ready, which really helps in determining how I do my Dark Age, I'm ready to get started. All right. So in this early game, I started a little bit faster than what we're used to. We're still not at the level where we can scout with sheep, so I'm not going to consider that. And I'm just going to work on having a clean Dark Age. What I'm really worried about right now, and what I recommend to you guys, is to have 0 idle time in the town center. You can't have a single bit of idle time, and you want to keep your villagers working as efficiently as possible, all right? And there's a high ceiling in terms of how efficient your villagers can be. Like, for example, you guys probably didn't spot it, but this is already a botched up Dark Age. I already made a mistake, and I don't even know if you guys spotted it, but when I walked from here, I walked from this side all the way to the sheep. I could have garrisoned into the TC, brought them out the other side, and saved 3 seconds of walking time on 1 villager or 2 villagers. This is an extreme level of efficiency, but I'm telling you this because I want to show you that we can go really hard in terms of efficiency, but for beginners, it's about the smaller things, keeping your TC running and making sure you don't have villagers standing around. Now it's time to pick my wood line, so I'm going to go ahead and pick maybe this one at the back. It's close to my berries, and it's at the back, which is nice. And I'll do something. I'll make the lumber camp, and I'll shift you onto that tree. And notice there's some chickens, but for the sake of this build order, I'm just going to go ahead and ignore them. Just because I want to show you that even without chickens and without deer, you can still make a pretty good build order. So we do 6 to sheep, 2 to wood, then the next one goes to boar. And all of this I'm learning from the color-coded PDF, which I offer to my Patreons. It's $5 a month, and you get access to the whole thing. And you can also upgrade your tier if you want to get access to more things that I offer on there. I think it's very good value, but it's to each their own. Next one, we go to 1 vill to make house, and then a mill on berries. I love it. All right, the boar is coming, so we just go ahead and kill that. Nowadays, you can garrison into the town center and actually kill the boar that way. All right. And throughout this Dark Age, you'll notice I've been jumping from my scout to my town center. How am I doing that? So I have a hotkey that lets me go to my town center. It's tab for me, but it's a go to town center hotkey. All right, we're gonna also use this hotkey to drop off food and then make a bill. All right, very important. So no idle time whatsoever. All right, and I'm jumping to my scout by using my control group. So I have the scout on control group 1. I do this by hovering my scout in the early game, clicking control and 1 on him, and then every time I double click 1 afterwards, or click 1 plus spacebar, I jump to my scout. And that's the interesting part. All right, next we'll go get the second boar. I'm just bringing all the sheep back, and here I'm ready to make my mill. Perfect. Look, everything's looking real good here. Right. Perfect. And here in this case, since I'm not luring deer or taking chickens, I'm going to send the next few over to the berries. Oh, now my next boar's coming in. I can go ahead and show you the technique to use your town center to kill the boar. Nowadays, the town center does not rot the boar, so you can go ahead and do that. And hey, I feel like I've scouted everything, but a bit of black stuff near the back of my base. I'm just going to go ahead and scout that just to make sure that there's nothing crazy going on there. And then I'm going to scout my opponent. I'm using the Shift Q technique with the scout to actually do multiple actions at the same time. Very important to get familiar with the Shift Q function, which is why I'm sprinkling it in every now and then. But take a look at what I'm doing. I'm not playing too fast, but I'm making sure that my TC is always running. My vills are always working. Look at this guy. He's got no space. Let's address that. Let's send him to the berries. These are concepts that you always want to work on. And there we go. We have 17 vills. We know we want to do 18 vills, so I do that. And notice I'm doing nothing here, so I just shift queued my boar villagers onto the sheep. Because if I didn't do that, they just stand around doing nothing when they're done the boar. Now they go straight to the sheep. How lovely is that? All right, we'll just take a second sheep because they're bumping, as you can see. So we're fixing things. We're fixing things in a way that makes sense. After we've got the 5 on berries here, we're just going to go ahead and send 2 more to wood, or actually send 6 more to wood. But first, we have to make sure we click up, so we drop off the res, click up to Feudal Age, and off we go. So we're going to go ahead and send now the 6 villagers over to the wood line. We want to have 8 on 1 lumber camp. Generally speaking, that's a pretty good idea. You can also make 2 lumber camps and have 5 on each for 10, which is not bad. Depends on how you want to play it. What I recommend with these builders is don't obsess over them. Like, if you watch back this game and you see, like, with the builder I have, I'm not following it exactly, like, word for word. I'm making adaptations based on what I see. All right, you're not going to make too many crazy adaptations. All right, it's not going to be that crazy. But if you're one off here or there, it's not a big deal. Now we're going to go ahead and make a barracks on the front. And let's talk a little bit about the point of the Feudal Age, all right? So the most powerful units that you can make... Ooh, ran into the TC, you got to be careful. Right? The most powerful units you can make, generally speaking, are in Imperial Age. All right, then Castle Age, then Feudal Age, and then Dark Age. Dark Age, you have the worst units of the militia. The point of the Feudal Age, though, is to set up your Castle Age, because in Castle Age, you can actually kill your opponent's entire base. You have Siege, you have Knights, which is a very strong unit, so you can go ahead and destroy your opponent's base. In Feudal Age, you don't really have that ability. You don't have Siege, you don't have Knights. The most you have is Scouts, Archers, maybe Men-at-Arms, units that are good at killing villagers. They're good at killing small buildings like houses, mills, maybe a stable, but they're not good at killing town centers, and they're not good at diving town centers. What they're good at is harassing your opponent, controlling the map, and setting yourself up for Castle Age, which is exactly what we're going to try right now. We're going to be trying to go for a scout rush, all right? So feudal scouts. Then we're going to try to wall up our base, and then play towards knights or maybe cavalry archers in Castle Age. And that's going to be where we really go for the kill. The early game setup is just so we don't die. That's the whole point of making army in Feudal Age. We want to pressure our opponent a little bit, gain small advantages, and we also make sure that we don't die. Because if we just try to rush the Castle Age, which I showed in the last video, it's not a bad strategy, but it has weaknesses. Your opponent can attack you in that moment where you're trying to go up to Castle Age. And even if you hit Castle Age, but you lose 10 vills because you've got some archers in your base, the Castle Age is kind of worthless. So that's the point of the Feudal Age. It's a stepping stone for Castle Age. And with that said, let's go ahead and do our scout rush. So now we want to keep the same kind of concepts we had going in the early game, in the Dark Age. We're going to want to make sure we have constantly villagers queued. Constantly, we want to go ahead and make scouts. We want to make sure our villagers are always working. These kind of concepts. We also want to pick up our eco upgrades, so horse collar and double bit axe. Double bit axe is very important. You never skip double bit axe. Horse collar is optional. You could skip it if you want to, and you could not. Now, I have a lot of videos on my Patreon in the light cavalry tier that teach you how to wall up your base here, how to play the feudal age correctly, how to always get the faster castle time. But I can't go over everything in this video for YouTube just because there's no time. I have many videos on these topics, but I'll give you guys as much information as possible. So in this case, I want to slowly wall up my base. I want to pick up my eco upgrades. And now I want to make farms as fast as I humanly can. And I have a really cool trick. You put the gather point on the straggler, and then as soon as you have the 60 wood, you go ahead and make a farm. As you can see, we're going to use the shift key function to build all the walls, and then go ahead and make send him back the wood. Efficiency. Now I've got wood in the stockpile. You want to trade that wood for food as fast as possible. All right. I'm going to bring my scout back, and I'm going to attack when I have like 3 or 4 scouts. That's usually a good time to do the attack. And meanwhile, I'm starting to mix in the walls. So I'm walling a little bit. And then as soon as I have the wood, I'm making the farms. The reason why you have to switch your wood to food fast is because wood on its own does nothing. But food on its own does a lot. You can make scouts, you can get upgrades, you can make villagers. But wood only lets you build stuff. So we want to convert the wood into a more useful resource as fast as possible. It's pretty simple logic, but a lot of people miss out on that because there's a lot going on. So we're trying to simplify things so it's easy for everyone. Now I got the 4 scouts. Let's go ahead and pressure my opponent. So remember the goal. We're going to go ahead first of all and use our control group. So we're going to put him on control group 1. So now if I'm looking away, I'm going to click 1 plus space and I go to them. You see that? Oh, he's catching a wallville. No problem. Oh, he left. Okay. I'm going to run it back, though, just in case. We'll make a spearman to defend our walls, and then we'll go back and wall that up later. All right? The AI is being a bit of a pest there. We defend. That's the first defense. That's our first defense. Now we go back and we try to pressure. All right? So here we go. We're going to try to target the vills. Our scouts have +1 attack for free, and they're also cheaper. That's not bad. We'll target this vill. Really target it. There we go. And we'll hit this other vill. Now, notice I'm not looking at my base right now. All right? Pro players can attack and keep their economy running. But for beginners, attack. When you're fighting, you look at your attack. Now when you run away, go back to your base. All right? Now I know my scouts are running away. I know they're not in danger. So now I have like 30 seconds where I can do things at my base. This is a huge concept. This is what's going to let us do multiple things at the same time. So now we'll finish the walls that we started. Right? And we're making a bunch of farms. We're keeping my town center running. We're playing at a quicker pace in this game than in the past videos, all right? I want us to advance a little bit in terms of the pace we play at. Now I've got some time. I worked on my economy. I'm going to go fight. But before I fight, I'm going to look back at my economy a little bit more. I've got some idols. I'm going to send them to gold, right? Why am I sending them to gold? I already have a good amount of food. I want to get to 200 gold for castle age now, all right? So I'm making a mix of farms and now sending them to gold. All right, now I've done everything. My gather point is in a good place. Oh, he's on this side. You know what? Let's use our vills to fight back. Vills can easily fight back, and that's a good defense, so we'll just make sure that he doesn't die. My spear was on the other side. He didn't die. The Vill's on defense is good. Now he's a weak Vill. We can send him to make a farm close to the TC. Finish off the wall with another Vill. This girl's weak. She'll make a farm as well. And I'll put the gather point on gold. I'll make 5 Vills, so I don't have to worry about the TC. Now I can fight. See that? You do everything at home. Now I can fight, and now I can focus on the fight. All right. How do I engage this? I'm going to go ahead and isolate a villager if possible. Notice when I'm fighting, I'm only using one hand, my mouse for now. I'm not using any hotkeys on military. They're a bit advanced. We'll talk about them in future episodes. But now we're just going around right-clicking, trying to block the vills a little bit maybe. That one, you know what? I just didn't want to commit to it. But this one, I can maybe commit to it. Look at that. Killed a few vills. This is not bad. And this is something you can easily replicate. You're just clicking with a mouse. We'll run away now. As you run away, we go back. And we're going to go ahead and make our second building. So the blacksmith. This vill can make a farm. Why do I need more farms? My plan is to go knights and castle age. So I want food and gold. I've got a good amount of food. I've now got almost 8 on gold. And as soon as the blacksmith's up, I'm going to be able to click the next age. So do one more, so 8 on gold. All right. And then maybe one more farm. All right. Or maybe one more on gold. It doesn't really matter. The point is, don't memorize numbers. The point is, you just want to have the resources you need for the strategy you're going for. Don't memorize, oh, it's 7.5 knights to make 2 stable, 7.5 vills on gold to make 2 stable knights. That's nonsense. That's not something as a beginner you should be memorizing. It's horrible to memorize that, in my opinion. All right. People might disagree with me on that. They think the numbers are necessary. I think it's bad. And I'm rank 1, so I'm right. No, I'm kidding. All right, we're going to go ahead and get the gold mining upgrade on the way up. It's just a way for us to invest our resources into something that gives us resources per minute, which is good. That's a good investment. and we're also mining gold, so it makes sense. It doesn't make sense to pick up the stone mining upgrade because we're not mining stone right now, all right? When it comes to upgrades in Age of Empires, you only want to get the ones that you're using now or you're using in the near future. I'm going to be using cavalry in the near future, so I'm going to pick up bloodlines. It also affects my scouts that I have on the field. That's a good upgrade. I'm not going to get the arson upgrade because this gives infantry +2 attack versus buildings. I have no infantry in the moment. I don't plan to make infantry. And here you go. This is why we're fully walled. Our opponent will attack us with archers, as the extreme AI normally does. Hold on, I made a mistake. I was not watching my scouts. They ran into the enemy town center. Go back. So he's got archers. I'm walled. That's the whole point of walling up. If I was not walled, I'd probably die to those archers. All right, it would be hard. Make a second stable. All right. And remember, we're going to use our select all stables hotkey. All right. That's it. We're going to select all the stables. I'm going to make knights out of it. I get the attack upgrades for free. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the armor upgrades for my knights. Nothing else, because I'm planning to only go knights. And this is an important concept. I want to simplify Age of Empires for you guys. Pick one unit, one strategy, and make that until your opponent has a good counter, and then switch. All right? Don't switch because you feel like it. Don't mix because you feel like it. Stick to one comp at the start. We did scouts, we pressured. Now we're going to switch to knights. Now, my recommendation, to be honest with you, is we learn how to all in. So in this case, the correct choice in a pro game is to add a town center. It's a great way to increase your economy, get more villagers, and it just kind of like helps you develop your base. All right. My recommendation for beginner players and how we're going to get away or get out of the first like few hundred elos, 1,000, 1,100, is we're going to all in Castle Age, at least for the first 5 minutes. We're going to stay on one town center every game. All right. How do we do that? So instead of spending my wood on a town center and keep, because the town center is a big investment. You make a town center, then you have to make a lot of villas from the town center. And I've showed you guys how to boom in the past few episodes. All right, it's pretty good. It's on closed maps, it's good. But it's hard to boom while fighting with military. So my advice is we learn how to do a one town center economy. Right? And we put all of our resources now into military. So with that in mind, we're going to do it like this. So new villagers will always make farms, because that's going to spend my wood, and that's going to go ahead and get me more food, which I need. I'm going to go ahead and get +2 armor. Very important upgrade against archers. You need this upgrade against archers, because that makes the archers do only 1 damage against you. Alright? I'm going to spend the wood on things that make sense. A third stable makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and make that. Alright. More villagers always make sense. More farms make sense. And what you can do, by the way, is you can make like 4 farms, and then take your town center and right-click the farm. Very easy way to make a lot of farms for your base. Wheelbarrow also makes sense. So we'll go ahead and pick up wheelbarrow. And hey, I need some houses. I noticed ahead of time. So we'll go ahead and just make a bunch of houses. What I don't want is for you to make 1 house and that's it. Use the shift Q function. We'll make 3 houses. And look how slow I'm playing. But it's really efficient. We're doing only the right things at the right time. Now we're going to make husbandry because it's good. It gives... let's read what it does. It gives... mounted units move 10% faster, and it costs 150 food. I'm making mounted units, so it makes sense to pick it up. My opponent's going to break in, but I have +2 knights. Look how fast he's going to lose this army. In fact, he's just going to run away. To fight, by the way, I have to teach you guys how to fight. We're going to use the attack move or the patrol function. So this is the patrol hotkey. This is the attack move hotkey. It's the same thing. I have it bounded to D. I use the patrol. They do effectively the same thing. You patrol forward towards your opponent, and what this does is that as soon as your units face an enemy, they attack automatically. All right? We keep our units always on aggressive stance. That's it. Okay? So now I'm going to spend my resources. So I'm going to make a bunch of knights. Ooh, I got a lot of food left over. Not a lot of gold. Clearly, I'm missing gold. Let's make a bunch of vills, and let's get more on gold. That's the kind of thing you want to be doing. That's the logic we're trying to follow here. All right? This gold mine's a little kind of messy, though. So let's go ahead and make a second gold mine on the same one. Yeah, and hopefully that would be a little bit cleaner. And now I just want a big fight. My opponent's still in Feudal Age, so I'm going to attack him with all my knights. And knights are not like the scouts, which I also have. Let's bring them in. Knights can dive town centers. Knights can really do a lot of damage to your opponent. So I'm going to be a lot more effective with my knight raids than my scout raids. All right? I'm going to spread them out. There we go. Putting a lot of pressure on my opponent. This is absolutely gold. Now I'm killing many more villas than I did in Feudal Age. In Feudal Age I killed 1 or 2. Now I'm killing, what, 10, 12? Alright, let's back up. He's got some pikemen. That's a counter unit, alright? But it's not good enough of a counter for me to care. All right, it's only like 2 pikemen. I'm not going to stop making knights, of which I've invested everything into so far, just because of 2 pikes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to overrun him, even though he's got the, in theory, counter unit. All right? Because here's the thing. Pikemen are a counter unit because they deal bonus damage. But if he's got 2 pikemen and I've got 10 knights, how much bonus damage is he going to be doing? Is it going to be enough to kill 10 knights? Hell no. Not even close. So I'm not going to switch to anything else. I'm going to continue going knights. I'm going to hammer him home. If he comes out with 30 pikes, I got 10 knights. Hands up. He got me. Then I'm going to switch. And it makes so much sense because if he has 2 pikemen, he's not heavily committed to it. So why would I commit to switching to something else? Wait till he heavily commits into pikes. He makes 30 of them and then counter them. All right. And if you're getting scared, like the pike numbers are mounting up, you can counter them ahead of time. You can be smart like that. But don't just switch to a counter unit once you've seen 2 pikes. Because the truth is, 2 pikes don't counter 10 knights. That's just not how it works. All right. The knights will win that fight. So with that said, I see no reason to switch off knights. We're going to continue hammering him home. All right. More vills at home. More gold. We need more gold. Oh, hey. Farm's running out. Let's get this. Let's also get this. And hey, let's get the bow saw. Perfect. Let's remake this. Perfect. All right. Spent all my wood. In like 30 seconds, I spent 600 wood. That's what I want from you guys. That's really good. All right, let's back up. Let me just regroup a little bit. I'm kind of flustered a bit. Not actually, but I'm going to pretend like I am for the sake of the video. I'm going to make a lot of knights. So look how I'm doing this. Select all stables. Make knights using the E hotkey. For you, it's going to be different. For you, it might be W. The standard one is W. All right. I'm going to make a bunch of knights. That's how we use our hotkeys to play faster. I don't have to look at my base. I'm looking at my army and I'm making more army. Yeah, listen, I got 14 knights. I'm going to patrol in and let them do their thing. All right? Just spread them out. Send some to the wood line, killing all his villagers, killing the pikemen that come out, as you can see. And this is what I want from beginner players. This is how we're going to climb the first 200 or 300 elo. We're going to all in every game. And we're going to follow up from there, adding town centers. Now, I've done a ton of damage. I'm going to make a bunch more knights. Now I've got too much wood. I can't spend this wood. No, I still can. You know what? I still can. I got farms that I got to make. I mean, I got too many villas here. Let's go ahead and send some more to wood. And now I can add town centers. After I've got control of my opponent's entire base, now I'll add town centers so I can skyrocket to Imperial Age. And in my opinion, that's a much better way to play than adding the town centers early and keeping everything tight. All right? As a beginner, this is exactly how I want you guys to beat the Extreme AI. Small aggression in Feudal Age, wall up your base, all in Castle Age. Now, there's one building I didn't make that could have helped a lot, and that's the market. All right? The market is something that could have really helped out, especially if you're a beginner player and you're floating a lot of resources. The market really helps in balancing things. So if your gameplay doesn't look exactly like mine right now, completely normal. What you're trying to do is make your gameplay look as close as possible to mine as you can. Because even if I'm not playing fast in this game, I'm not playing at like my 100%, I'm playing at like a 10%, but I'm still doing the right things at the right time. This is not something a beginner player will always be able to do. A lot of times you'll forget. A lot of times you'll lose your scouts because you're not paying attention. But I want you guys to like make a mistake, all right? You lose your scouts because you're not paying attention. Remember what I said in this video. Remember that, oh, when Hera was not watching his scouts, he ran them away. And then he looked back to his base. Let's try that. Because I'm giving you guys practical advice on how to play better. I'm not just telling you theory. This doesn't work in theory. This is what I do in practice. This is what actually works, all right? And if you can't spend your resources using the logic that I told you guys, like, you know, I'm lacking some gold, so let's just put more villas on gold and maybe get the gold mining upgrade. If that's not working out, you find yourself with like 1,000 food, no gold, just make a market. Or if you find yourself with 1,000 gold and no food, just make a market. Market helps bridge the gap between perfect play and where you're at, all right? And the market's not efficient. It takes a lot of money from you, all right? Because, you know, you get 100 food, but you have to pay like 150 gold for it. So it's not efficient, but it's more efficient to use the market than to keep 1,000 gold in your stockpile. Because for those who don't know, and I've made plenty of videos on this, if you have 1,000 gold in your stockpile and you're not using it, and your opponent is balancing, he's got 500 food, 500 gold, he can make like 7, 8 knights with that 1,000 resources. And with 1,000 gold, you can't do anything. At most, you can make monks. That's it. So even though you both have 1,000 gold, he has 8 knights and you have 1,000 gold in the stockpile. So he attacks you. You're like, hey, I'm a millionaire. I've got 1,000 gold in my stockpile. He doesn't care. He's killing 15 villas with those 10 knights, right? So it's important that we spend our resources, and that's the main objective of this video, or main objective of this game. All right, so where do we go from here, guys? So this is how to beat the extreme AI. I hope it was clear for everyone. I want you guys to practice this, beat the extreme AI. In the next episode, we're going to go ahead and play against real humans. So the first 5 episodes was the settings, beating all the AIs. The next episode and onwards, the next 10 episodes, we're going to go from 1,000 elo to 2,000 elo on the ranked ladder. And we're going to step up our game after every episode. And by the way, we're going to move fast, so you better be ready. Like this video, I already played much better than I did in the last video. So you guys have to put in the hours and the practice on your own to be able to keep up with the pace that I'm going to go. I'm going to go at a pretty fast pace. I'm warning you from now. But I'm going to give you guys a lot of information and a lot of tips and tricks to help you guys practically climb and play better. And if you guys like this kind of content, I highly recommend you check out the Patreon once again, because the Patreon has all the information that I'm telling you here, but in a more detailed version. And there's a lot of extra stuff on the Patreon that I don't describe in this video because I just have more time there and I go more in depth. So if you guys want to take your game to the next level, definitely check out my Patreon. There's different tiers. The one I recommend is the $10 tier, the light cap tier. And it's a monthly subscription, but you can take it for 1 month and cancel anytime. There's no issues whatsoever. So I hope you guys will check that out. And it's also the best way to support me. Take a look at the feudal time. This is not perfect. 850 is the perfect time. So at 3 seconds of idle, sue me. No, I'm kidding. It's normal, but you're trying to hit as close as possible to 850, all right, with this build. If you go up later, like extra vills, then obviously that time goes up. The perfect time is always known. You can just calculate yourself. Every villager takes 25 seconds, and going up to feudal age takes X amount, I forget. But you can calculate it yourself. And then castle age, it changes every game, but sub 20 is usually considered pretty good. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this guide with your friends if you guys want to help them get better and help me get more views, which is a double plus. And I'll see you guys in the next guide video or in the next video on the channel. Take care and bye for now.